As the calendar turns to August, it can only mean one thing. The NFL season is right around the corner. And with that in mind, the Louie T Network exclusives are back like cook crack. Choose from any of the three or all three of the LTN exclusives, Winners and Losers League, Soul Survivor Pool, Weekly Pick'em, all at your fingertips. Links are down in the description along with the video to help you sign up. Don't sit on the sideline. Get in the game.
Who else could pick for me, your man, Louie T? Welcome to the Command Post Live. You know what it is. Post up. Take command. I, of course, am your commander-in-chief, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Day 2 of joint practices with the Ravens in the books. So Washington successfully went over there and did what I hope they had set out to do, which was get in, get great work in, come back feeling positive about what you were able to accomplish, not taking any steps backwards, but rather forwards. I don't even think we took lateral steps in these joint practices. I think we went over there, exerted our will, did what we needed to do, but most importantly, we suffered no casualties in the process of this. Now, I say that, I believe that, but there could be a casualty. We'll talk about that here in a second. But for the most part, we came out of there unscathed. And that's what you wanted to do. It sets the stage for Monday night. It's a really big preseason game because it's the last time you're going to see the starters in any capacity this training camp, this summer. The next time you see these guys on the field, it's going to be week 1, FedEx Field versus the Arizona Cardinals. So it's a pretty big deal. And they're building the momentum that they built from Cleveland. They took it to Baltimore for 2 days, did what they had to do. They've built more momentum. Now let's see what they do with that heading into the Monday night contest versus Baltimore. So we're going to get into day number 2 of joint practices with the Ravens here in a second. Before I do that, though, I got a little bit of house cleaning to do. I wanted to send a couple of big, massive shout outs to Robert Ritherall. Thank you for the donation on PayPal. Once again, if you're out there and you want to donate, whether it's PayPal or CashApp, you see those two down in the corner of the screen. Shout out to all my Patreon members and my patrons. Thank you for your unwavering support there. And I can't thank you guys enough for continuing to power the movement. And also want to give a big shout out to Twin Lakes Energy Consulting. Twin Lakes Energy Consulting. Thank you so much for the generosity. Can't thank you enough for your generosity. And again, I am so grateful for all of the support that you guys give to the Louie T Network. I can't thank you guys enough. So thank you once again to Twin Lakes Energy Consulting and Robert Witherall. With that said, let's go ahead and get into day number 2 of joint practices, the final day out in Owing Mills, Maryland, as Washington set out to go and continue to build on the things that they did in day 1, which was a fantastic day, specifically for the offense. I thought it was, give and take defensively in day number 1. The Ravens made their fair share of plays. The defense made their fair share of plays, but I thought the offense dominated on the other side, on the other field, where they were going up against the Ravens ones. I thought that we were able to get the better of them consistently in day 1. Day 2, I thought it wasn't as decisive a victory for the offense, but I thought it was another quality day that they stacked on top of the one that they put forth yesterday. Meanwhile, I thought the defense took it up a notch in day number 2. And I think they did a lot of good things today. A lot of the guys that I want to highlight, are on the defensive side of the football. And we're going to bring up a couple of topics tonight that we'll chew on a little bit, whether it's tonight or tomorrow. I believe there's no practice tomorrow as they head back to Ashburn. And I think really what you do now is you may get one more solid practice out of them before you get a walkthrough, and then they head into the Monday night contest. So we'll see what the schedule looks like the remainder of the week. However, we heard from Ron Rivera, Kendall Fuller, and QB1, Sam Howell, even though Ron was reluctant to name him the starter. I already told y'all one of the things I was looking for this week was to crystallize a lot of these conversations that we were having surrounding specific positions, quarterback being obviously the biggest. There wasn't many questions coming from our end. It wasn't a matter of if Sam was going to be the starter. It's a matter of when they were going to name him starter. There's various reasons as to why we know this to be the case. But nonetheless, it's just a formality at this point. And Ron can take as much time as he needs. I told you the 2 days in Baltimore were going to be the deciding factor in terms of how quickly he decided to make that announcement. He's going to go watch the film. He's going to sit down with EB, as he said, and we'll get into what Ron had to say specifically. And they'll make a decision. There's no decision to be made. We already know the answer. You can make it now, or you can make it after the Ravens game on Monday or Tuesday. It's up to you. Doesn't matter. But the sooner the better. Now, why wait? Anyway, injury updates. Let's get to those. So Phidarian Mathis still out with the calf. Nothing's changed there. Still in a walking boot, and they'll continue to monitor him as we get closer to the regular season. You're hoping that he'll be ready for week 1. That's the goal at this current juncture. Chase Young, as Ron said yesterday, was going to partake in indie work, and he did not participate in any of the team drills, which again was to be expected. I still think there's an outside shot that he plays on Monday night. Despite not practicing either day in Baltimore, I still think there's an outside shot. They don't have to push it, guys. Just understand that if there's any doubt, if I'm talking about a shred, like if they're not 110% sure that he's good, if it's 99%, he's not playing. Okay. And I don't blame them. I'm not that desperate to see Chase Young out on the field. Okay. Week 1 and beyond is when it counts. And that's when we'll be really looking for 99 to be out there and make his presence felt. Benjamin St. Juste, I was so wrong about Juste. I told you guys yesterday that of all the injuries, his and his and Phidarian Mathis's calf were ankle, Juice's ankle and Phidarian Mathis's calf were the 2 injuries to keep your eye on. Those could linger for a while. I couldn't have been more wrong about that in terms of Benjamin St. Juste. He not only was back on the field today and partook in everything, including all team drills, he was the best player on the field, if you ask me, today. We'll get back to that a little bit later on. So shout out to Benjamin St. Juste, he was on 12 today. If today is any indication of what he could be this season, our secondary really has a chance to be not just rock solid, but really, really impactful, like really changing ball games out here. Logan Thomas was on the side field for the 2nd consecutive day, which is a good sign. Again, he's continuing to ramp up his cardiovascular endurance. And so it's good to see him continuing to get out there. One of the things that has become apparent, and I mentioned this yesterday, and I'm trying to convey this to you guys so you understand the level of importance that Logan Thomas holds to this offense. The reason why they're being so cautious is because they need Logan Thomas desperately. Desperately, they need Logan Thomas. We'll expound upon that a little bit later on as well. And then our guy, Sadiq. I go and I give him a compliment yesterday, and how does he repay me? By not being able to finish practice in terms of the team drills. He did finish with some indie work late, but we've seen this movie before. All right. Just when you thought it was safe, Sadiq lets you know it's not safe to come out yet and praise him. So he felt a little tightness in his calf. It could be nothing. It could be everything. Let's hope it's nothing. So they shut him down as a precautionary measure. Let's hope that the tightness subsides and he's able to go. He needs some reps in a game. I would really like him to play on Monday night. Like it's time that we get some continuity with the 5 guys that are going to play, because the other 4 are out there and we know they're going to be out there. It's that left guard position that we need to nail down. And if he doesn't play in this game, how can you name him the starter at this point is the question that I then have. And I like him a lot, and I think he could be impactful on this line, but the inability to stay healthy has been a problem since day one with Sadiq Charles. We are now 3 years into his career, 4 years rather into his career. And if he cannot stay healthy enough in the preseason to be able to show what he's capable of, how can we trust him in the regular season? So I'm hoping that it was just a little tightness and he felt it and he was like, let me catch this before it turns into something else. If I were Ron and company, I don't have him practicing until Saturday when you do your walkthrough. And that's not going to put a lot of strain or stress on his calf because it's just a walkthrough. And you give him the nod, you give him the start, and you see how he handles it and see how his body responds to it. And, maybe you mix in Chris Paul as well with the ones, because I think the ones are going to play at least a quarter, at least a quarter. And again, what does that even mean? Not about the actual amount of time they're in the game. It's about the number of snaps and possessions that they play. That's what's really important. So I see every bit of the same 3, at a bare minimum, the 3 possessions that they play. Now, granted, if they have 2 strong possessions to start the game, one might result in a field goal, the other a touchdown, they're done probably after 2 possessions. But the likelihood is they'll be out there for at least 3 possessions. Maybe you could give Sadiq 2 and Chris Paul 1. I don't know. We'll see what happens, but that's not encouraging. That was the one casualty that we may have endured on this quick trip up I-95. But other than that, we came out relatively clean, which is what you want. So the physical play continued today, and it crossed the line a few times very early on in practice, which is what you kind of expected. I mean, we saw what happened yesterday. You think that's just going to go away after a day and everybody's just going to forget about what happened the day before? Yeah, right. So it got really chippy early, nothing major. Again, I told you guys yesterday, those weren't fights. Those were skirmishes. Okay. On the football field, hitting somebody in their helmet yes, you will get ejected out of a game for doing that. But a dude has a helmet on. All right. Like, if you smush the hell out of me, it's more disrespectful than it is hurtful. Right? You may hurt my pride. You didn't actually hurt me doing that because the helmet's on. So you can throw all the punches you want. If I got my lid on, I'm good. Unless you got a Eric Dickerson face mask and you can fit your whole fist through there. Right? Nobody's wearing, dicks anymore. Pause. Nobody's wearing Eric Dickerson. No one's wearing Tony Dorsett's. I mean, unless you got a Dorsett. Excuse me. Everybody wanted the Falk Dicks. Pause again. Face mask when we were coming up, but nobody's wearing Tony Dorsett face mask. Like T.O. probably was like the last dude to do that. Maybe Russell Wilson. I think he has one. Like, there aren't many guys doing that. So anyway, I digress. The physicality that you saw in practice, the few skirmishes that happened and the dust ups were primarily O-line versus D-line. And it got to the point where at the end of practice in the team drills, both sides decided that the defensive rush the pass rush would only be going at about 50 to 75%. Like they weren't going hard trying to get to the quarterback because they didn't want to start any more drama. So you could see how those offensive line, D-line, altercations kind of impacted practice a bit just to keep the peace. They had the D-lines on both sides kind of scale back their rush so that it wouldn't get too testy down in the trenches and nothing else would arise. And for the most part, it didn't. So the only thing I don't like about that is you're not getting a realistic adaptation of what these guys are going to get on Sundays, Mondays, and some Thursdays, and the occasional Saturday. But I get it. At this point, we've gotten a ton of work in. We're satisfied with what we've done. We don't want to tarnish the entire joint practice experience with a brawl in one of the two final team drills of the week. Like, let's not do that. So I get it. So a couple of bullet points, man. I don't have as much today because I knew what I was getting myself into, but really disappointed, and look, I said this yesterday. If you can't complain, and I'm not going to, you can't complain about something that isn't yours. Okay. The Ravens have no allegiance to us as Washington fans. They were doing us a solid by even showing it, right? It's more for their fans than it was for us. So it's really frustrating when you're sitting through you're sitting through Jacoby Brissett in the second team offense. You're sitting through the Jake Fromm in the third team offense. And right when they get to Sam Howell and the first team offense, they switch over to the other field and Lamar Jackson and the Ravens first team offense against our first team defense. And you're like, shit, what are you doing? Why would you do that? Well, that's because they have an agenda. They have a fan base to appease. They're not worried about us. And then when they did show our, first team offense, they're zooming in like randomly on a linebacker and following him. You're not seeing any of the play. You're like, what are you doing back there with the camera, man? Anyway, so it put a damper. Yesterday's coverage was a lot better than today. But again, beggars can't be choosers. Sam and the offense, I thought, put a stamp on 2 good days in Owing Mills. One of my 7 things that I was looking for going into these joint practices was for Sam and the offense to continue to build on what I thought was a solid performance. In the case of Sam, I thought he was outstanding against Cleveland. But I wanted him to continue to build on what he did on Friday night. And I wanted the offensive line to improve, to get better, because that wasn't good enough against Cleveland. And they had their moments in these 2 joint practices where they were outstanding. They had their moments where they were beat. And all of it is our teachable moments. They're all teaching tools that they can go back and watch. And that's the beauty of doing this, is now you've got some things that you can go back and watch. Hey, this is what you did really well here. Continue to do that. Hey, this is what you didn't do well here. Let's clean that up. So I thought Sam and the offense went out and stamped what was 2 successful days. I coined it mission complete. We set out to go and have 2 really good days back to back, stack them on top of each other, and come back home feeling damn good about what you were able to accomplish. And I think that's exactly what they did. Sam was confident. He was cool. He was calm. He was collected, which we know that's his demeanor anyway. I thought he made good decisions. when I did get to see him, I'm listening to other people talk about what he was doing, and they seem to have seen the same thing that I saw briefly, which was smart decisions. And for the most part, he did that against Cleveland. Again, nothing has changed. There's the one play, right, where he takes the sack where you go, come on, bro. Don't take that sack. But outside of that, I thought Sam made really smart decisions, quick, decisive decisions, and that's what he did against the Ravens. Also, how about this? So yesterday, F.A. Obata, for the first time, took first-team reps with the defense, and obviously Chase Young being out opens a space and creates a void that allows someone to fill it. Now, the initial thought and the prevailing thought was, they'll just stick either James Smith-Williams or Casey Toohill in there. Those are the guys that manned it up last year for the most part. And the year before when he got injured, it was a, combination of the two, but it's mostly James Smith-Williams. So the assumption was Chase is out, JS Dub slides in, and you keep the party going. Except it wasn't. F.A. got the reps yesterday. And today they slid Andre Jones Jr., the 7th-round rookie out of Louisiana Lafayette, into the game and gave him reps with the first-team defense. I am not shocked, but I am pleasantly surprised. But he's earned it. Same thing I said about F.A. He's earned the right to get out there. And clearly the coaches have taken notice. I said this yesterday, or it might have been after the Browns game. I think it was after the Browns game. It wasn't yesterday. Andre Jones Jr. was really good, I thought, in that game. I liked what I saw, and I said he was way better, way more impactful than KJ Henry was. And I don't know what it is with me and 7th-rounders, but when I condemn a 7th-rounder, it probably means they're going to be really good for us. I'm hoping that I'm wrong again, like I was with Cam Curl. I couldn't have been more wrong with my assessment of Cam Curl. Looks like I may be the same thing with Andre Jones, and I'd love to be wrong because that means we got ourselves a player. But keep in mind, I just need you to understand that F.A. still took the vast majority of first-team reps. I'd say 60 to 65% of the first-team reps still went to F.A. But Andre Jones is out there for the other 30 to 35% or 35 to 40%. That's good to see. It's probably more like 70, 75, 80, somewhere in there. And he took the remaining 30, 25, or 20. But nonetheless, good for him. Right now, I feel like he's got the inside track to making this team. If they're going to keep 6, you'd imagine that that's what they're aiming for right now. You can't keep 5 and keep Andre Jones Jr. if you're going to keep Casey Toohill. You can't do both. You'd have to make a decision. And again, Casey Toohill is not a lock. And I was ruling him out, but when it came push to shove in the game, Casey Toohill was out there with the 1s at the beginning of the game. And he was one of the first dudes to get off the bench when the 2s came in. So I'm still leaning towards him being a part of this roster and them just adding Andre Jones Jr. to that mix and not subtracting to add him in, if that makes sense. So what it's leaning towards is 10 on the defensive line, 4 D tackles, and 6 edge rushers. But who knows? It could still be 9 and it could still be 5, and they could just say, hey, Casey, bro, it's been real. I'd love to have you on the P squad, man. If you don't find work nowhere else, there's always a spot here for you on the P squad, bro. And that could be the direction that they head in. They're not going to cut a draft pick if that guy is flashing and Andre Jones Jr. is flashing. All he needs is one more solid performance. You'd prefer it to be in this Ravens game, carry over the momentum from the Cleveland game and the practices this week into the game, and I think he would have not necessarily guaranteed a spot, but it feel like he was leaning towards solidifying a roster spot with another solid performance. We'll see what he does, but good for him getting reps in practice with the ones today. Up and down day for Emmanuel Forbes. Look, man, he's a rookie. These things happen. I'm not tripping. I feel good about Emmanuel Forbes. You know what I really like about him is his confidence. And at the cornerback position, I don't know, other than quarterback, and maybe kicker, I don't know if confidence is more important at any other position than those two that I've already mentioned. Confidence is incredibly important anywhere you play, no matter the sport, position, any of that. However, it matters a little bit more at quarterback. Obviously, you're touching the ball on just about every single snap. And it matters at kicker because, as we saw last year with Brett Maher, the second you lose your confidence as a kicker, you get the yips, it's a wrap. It's over. There's not a damn thing you can do. So I think those two positions may have cornerback beat, but it's damn close because as a corner, you got to have selective memory and you got to have the utmost confidence. Yeah, you just got me. Don't worry. I'm going to get you back. And you can't be afraid to challenge guys. And if you know, you got to know your limitations. You got to know who you are, understand what you can and can't do. But also, whatever it is you're doing, do it with confidence. And I see this dude chirping at everybody. You know, he breaks up a pass with Odell today. It was underthrown. I thought he got cooked today. Yesterday, he got beat on a double move, but he hung tough. But it was an underthrown ball, or Odell would have had a touchdown. Today, he just got run by. I don't know why he squatted, why he thought Odell was going to pull up. And you got to give credit to Odell too. He's a dog, you know, and he's a hell of a technician. And he just ran right by Emmanuel Forbes. And for the second day in a row, Lamar Jackson severely underthrew Odell Beckham Jr. and it allowed Forbes to get back into play and break it up. I don't give a shit what it looks like, how it happens. Just make it happen. And he did that. But understand, I hope he's taking notes and he's seeing, understand this is not college. You're not playing Kentucky. That's not Will Levis back there. Okay. Understand, you're not playing Vandy. You're not playing Ole Miss. Okay. These quarterbacks up here are different. These receivers, they're different. So this was good work for him. This was a good experience because none of our receivers look like Odell Beckham Jr. The closest we probably have is Jahan Dotson, and he's not Odell Beckham Jr. either. So not yet, at least. Maybe he'll get to that point, but it's valuable work. It's invaluable experience that he's getting. And as you know, at the cornerback position, it's baptism by fire. You know what it is. We drafted him in the first round for this young fellow to play. So that means all of your mistakes are going to be out in the public for everybody to see. You don't get to make these mistakes behind the scenes and get better like a third or fourth round pick. Ricky Stromberg ain't going to see the field this year. If everything goes the way that it's supposed to, he won't see the field at all except for pregame. That said, he's getting, lessons in practice, and he's going to continue to develop. Same thing with Sam last year. We saw Sam in the preseason. We didn't see Sam a single snap until week 18. He got to make his mistakes behind closed doors at practice. Yeah, he made a mistake against Dallas, but few and far between, right? With Emmanuel Forbes, we're going to see all of them. That's what happens when you're a first-round pick. We get to see the good, the bad, and the ugly. So there are going to be days where he struggles. Take the good with the bad. I like what I saw. I saw a competitive edge and fire from this kid. He makes a play, he's going to let you know about it. You get him? All right, you got me. I saw him. He got beat on some one-on-ones today, and I saw the body language. I didn't like it. He got, but, much like we talk about with offensive linemen in one-on-one drills and wide receiver, it's set up for the wide receivers to win. It's tough for a corner because they know where they're going. It's tough. They got the entire field to utilize to beat you, whereas as a corner, they don't want you putting your hands on him, being extremely physical, and you don't know where he's going. He can go in, out, come back, go up, go across the field. There's so much ground for you to have to cover with no help. But conversely, Benjamin St. Juste was locked in. I don't know how many times I saw today, click, clack, locking dudes up. Locked up, they won't let me out. I don't know how many times I saw the click, clack today. But he was doing it, boy. I said, man, Juste is on one today. Man, ain't nothing better than some ice cold juice. I don't know how you like your beverages. We've had this conversation about water, but I like my juice just as cold as I do my water. Ice cold, little chunks in there. Man, we got some ice cold juice off the bench. That brother was locked in today. He wasn't having it from nobody. He was shutting it down at my favorite play. We just talked about one-on-ones. And he was in one-on-one coverage with Zay Flowers. And this is the kind of receiver that scares me when it comes to Juste in the slot. And he was in the slot, one-on-one with Zay Flowers. And Zay had him on an island. It's just those two guys going at it. And Benjamin St. Juste used beautiful technique. He didn't overcommit. He stayed center. And when Zay Flowers made his initial move, he didn't overreact to it. He stayed firm in his base. And as Zay came out of that break and tried to whip it back outside, he was all over that shit. He's like, I knew what you was about to do. And he was right there. It was incomplete. I'm like, hey, Juste, that's some high-level shit right there, bro. Because in the slot, you're going to see guys just like Zay Flowers. That's some good shit, man. Because Zay, the day before, took him uptown. Or actually, excuse me, took Forbes uptown. Took his ass uptown. And left him. But luckily, the ball was overthrown. So to see Juste get out there, knowing that Zay could take him uptown and wasn't fazed by it and was right in his hip pocket, I loved it, man. He had at least 3 or 4 PBUs today. He had a number of other plays where he was right there. The ball was incomplete, and he was right there. Or they had to turn it down because the coverage was so sticky. He can be a little handsy at times, but this was the cleanest I've seen. And I saw at least 10 to 12 reps of BSJ today. It was the cleanest footwork and the cleanest from a technical standpoint I've seen him in his career. I've heard all camp from various sources out there. All the beat writers have said the same thing. Benjamin St. Juste is having a tremendous camp. If what I saw is any indication of what he's been doing, then they've been telling the truth. Because that was some good-ass shit. Straight up. I thought he was the best player on the defense. Yes, today. Maybe in the secondary. I don't want to get ahead of myself. He was the best player in the secondary on anybody's team. And speedy recovery to Marlon Humphrey. I guess yesterday he must have done something to his foot that required surgery. He's going to miss the first few weeks of the season. Get well soon, man. Get back on the field. Appreciate the work that you provided Terry with yesterday. I want to talk about the running back drills with the linebackers just for a second because Roquan Smith was killing us. We could not block him in the one-on-one drills to save our lives. What he did to Brian Robinson, I wanted him imprisoned and I wanted him to be put away for life. It was that filthy. That's one of those viewer discretion is advised. I watched that and I was like, hey, man, my son came over. I was like, you don't need to see this. You stay over there. It's too graphic. One play, he just went right by him. I'm like, bro, did you not know he was trying to get to the dude with the football? I mean, are we confused as to what you're supposed to be doing here? It can't be that easy, bro. And again, these one-on-one drills are tough because it's just you and that dude. And he gets a running start. But guess what? In the game, he's going to get a running start. And I know there's another weapon that you can utilize come game day that you're not going to utilize in practice, and that's a cut block. But still, you got to be better than that. Then the second one, he just jacked his ass up. I mean, he bitched him. And I'm like, come on, B-Rob. Bro, seriously, you want to be on the field on third down. That's what you've been saying. I can't tell. Yesterday, you gave up a sack after Antonio Gibson had to come out of the game due to a false start. You come in and abruptly give up a sack. And then this piss poor effort in one-on-one drills. And again, I don't want to overreact to one-on-one drills. And Roquan is different. Roquan Smith is different. Damn, he's different. But that shit was vicious. Flavor delicious. I got a stock up, stock down from the 2 days in Baltimore. So one of the guys that was riding a high of the performance in Cleveland was Cole Turner. And I was so excited. That was the first real gleam of hope that we saw from Cole Turner as a guy that could live up to some of the expectations that they had placed on him as a 5th-round pick when we first drafted him. And, you know, he made some catches. And one of the things I recollect watching the game, and I said it to myself, and I'm like, you know what? Cole's a really good athlete. And, you know, there's a lot of things that I think he does well. I said one of the things I saw consistently, which means there's probably a problem, every time he caught the ball, he wasn't really looking to get yards after the catch. He was bracing for contact and protecting the ball like this, right? Like on that think about that 4th down catch. Sam throws it slightly behind him, not, you know, anything egregious, but Sam probably threw it behind him slightly to stop him from running towards the sideline, and there was another defender out there. So he didn't want to take him towards that defender, throw it behind him so it stops him. Now, there was a defender bearing down on him from the backside, so that throw kind of took him back towards that defender, but that defender wasn't even in the same zip code of like trying to break it up or anything. So even upon catching that, Cole could have tried to turn around and run, or he could have just kept backpedaling, right? Cole didn't either. He just caught the ball like, I got it. It's 4th down. I just want to make sure I'm going to catch it. He braced for impact, and he cradled that rock like it was his first, you know, newborn, and he took the shot, right? And I'm cool with that because at that point, you just want to make sure you get the 1st down. But he did that twice in the game where he caught a pass and he really didn't look to run, but more so to protect the football. I'm like, interesting. Now I know why. So yesterday and today, the theme for Cole Turner was he had issues holding on to the football. Whether somebody ripped it out of his hands late with late hands, or he just flat out dropped the football. And I think the drops might have been a byproduct of, you know, the mental side of things. I just talked about confidence. He might have, you know, lost a little bit of confidence when a couple of those balls were ripped out of his grasp. So now he's thinking about, you know, everything except securing the football first. He's thinking about, I got to put it away before you actually catch it, you know. So he had a rough 2 days, and it reinforced the need for Logan Thomas. And I told y'all that yesterday. And I was privy to this information yesterday. I kept it to myself because I was hoping that he would have a better day today and that he would erase some of the things that he did yesterday so that it would become a moot point. But that's why yesterday I made the comment that I don't think you guys realize how bad we need Logan Thomas. I think some of you guys underrate his importance in this offense and what he's going to mean for Sam Howell as a safety blanket. And the reason they're taking it so slow with him is because they know his value. They know how important Logan Thomas is to this offense. They cannot afford to lose him with no Amani Rodgers, who proved last year that he could get it done. You've got unproven commodities at the tight end position. It was so bad for Cole Turner over the last 2 days that Ron even went out of his way to compliment John Bates, who I saw running with the third string at one point today. But he talked about how John Bates was able to provide himself as a underneath option, as a check down, made some good catches. So, and I've heard that there's been improvement in Bates. You know, despite the drop against the Browns, Bates talked about himself improving his route running ability and becoming a much better route runner, which allows him to separate a little bit more and make himself a more readily available target for the quarterback. Now he's just got to catch the damn ball. And he did that well today. Ron commented on that and complimented him. And conversely, Cole Turner struggled. So it reinforces the fact that we need Logan Thomas. So stock down for Cole Turner after the 2 days in Baltimore. I'm not down on him. Particularly, I'm down on his performance. And I want to see him get back into a groove on Monday night versus the Ravens and reinstill that confidence, right? Restore that confidence moving forward because we're going to need him. Whether Logan's healthy or not, we're going to need Cole Turner. So I need him to get his shit together. Stock Up is a guy that I've been talking about all training camp long, and I've been telling y'all since the first week of training camp. And I told you, I feel like I could give a master class on reading Ron. And I told y'all from the first time I listened to Ron speak about him and watching him, and then the first preseason game confirmed it for me, and I came back and told y'all, and I keep saying it, and I know y'all getting tired of me saying it, but I'm keep saying it anyway. Alex Arma is making this damn team, and Ron talked about him yet again at the press conference today and talked about his versatility. And, you know, when Logan went down and Curtis Hodges went down, who stepped up and played tight end? Alex Arma. We don't have but one fullback on the team. And who is that? Alex Arma. So he can do so many things in one-on-one drills, those same one-on-one drills that I was just referencing. Who was kicking ass? Alex Arma. You know, on a couple of plays today as a blocker, who was able to seal the edge and create a massive rush lane? Alex Arma. And Ron and company are taking notice. They love the fact that they can throw it to Alex Arma. They can have him be a lead blocker. They can have him detach from the offensive line and become a U. They can bring him in tight, and he can be a Y. He can be a H-back. He can be a fullback. They love that he can do so many different things. It puts you in a position where you don't have to keep 4 tight ends. You can keep 3 and have Alex Arma as a running back, right? / fullback / tight end. But knowing that if something happens, Alex Arma has a good grasp of the tight end position and can fill right in. He's invaluable. He's becoming invaluable, I should say. And I think they're liking him as a lead blocker as well. So stock up for Alex Arma. He had a strong 2 days. And I'm telling you, man, I think he's going to make the football team. I've been telling y'all that since the first week of camp. So that's not news to y'all because y'all been hearing me say this, but I think he's making the football team. So I didn't mention this yesterday, but I feel it's my duty to mention this. Joey Sly, because I've already put him on the roster, and nothing's changed. I'm unnerved by him missing a 51-yarder, but he missed a 51-yarder yesterday, and he didn't just miss it. According to John Keim, he missed it bad, like he shanked it, he hooked it. It never had a chance off his foot. Meanwhile, his competition, the Money Badger, barely snuck it over the crossbar from 51. I can't have that in my life. I can't be having kickers barely hit, sneaking it over the crossbar from 51. That gives me nightmares of Kai Forbath. I can't go back to those days. I can't live my life like that. So I'm gonna just stick with Joey Sly, the devil I know, versus the devil I don't know. Because I'm not sure if I can send Michael Badgley out there for a 51-yarder when it's just slightly windy outside. I'm not sure about that. That thing might come up short. And we know he can't kick the ball off. So I'm gonna just stick with the devil I know, man. I'm gonna just stick with my guy Joey Sly. But in addition to that, Cameron Cheeseman, we heard the excuse that Tressway gave us a week or two ago about, oh yeah, Cheese is trying this new snap. He's trying to send back a tighter spiral. This is the time where you try that and this, that, and the third. It's becoming a problem now. Like, hey, Cheese, work on that shit next year, bro. Like, let's get the operation, back where it needs to be, to where we're not having a conversation with your name involved. The only time I should name Cam Cheeseman is if he goes down and makes a tackle on special teams. You go, hey, look at, or he recovers a fumble on special teams. You go, hey, look at Cam Cheeseman getting in there, right? I want to hear your name any other way. If your name gets brought up for any other reason than one of those two items, we have a problem. And I'm hearing your name far too often for these damn snaps that aren't getting back there cleanly, and you're better than that. Because we didn't have this problem last year. So whatever the hell you're trying, cut it out. All right, just cut it out. I just need the ball to get back there to Tress so he can put the shit down in enough time to make the kicker comfortable. I'm telling you, if we, lose a game because of a bad snap, it's going to give me a flashback to Dan Turk. I don't want to go back there, man. It's a deep, dark place for me. Please don't take me back there. That's what the Reign of Terror was for me to exercise some of those demons. I don't want to go back there. So I'm begging you, clean this shit up, bro. Last thing. So this was just an observation that I had. So I read this, and then I was watching him at receiver. It's going to be tough for Kaz Allen to make the team as a receiver. He's too inconsistent. There was a ball that was thrown right to him. Good throw by Jake Fromm. Great route by Kaz Allen, by the way, to get open. And he forgot the most important thing, the football. And I'm like, bro, you're trying to make the roster or what? Like, you can't just catch wide receiver screens and return kicks and punts. I mean, theoretically, he can, if they decide that that's what they want him to do. But if they're going to keep him primarily for those duties, they're going to also want him to have like a DeAndre Carter flair to him where, hey, if we have a couple of injuries, we need you to be able to step up and jump in there. Maybe that's why you keep a Mitchell Tinsley on the practice squad, because he'll be ready to come in and contribute right away if you need him to. But that's if you can get him to the practice squad. There's no guarantee. But I'm telling y'all, and I said this after the Browns game, it was one of my 7 biggest takeaways from the Browns game. He's going to get every opportunity to make the team. He fielded every single punt and kickoff over the last 2 days in Baltimore, in Owings Mills. He fielded every single punt and kickoff. So, again, I expect that to carry over into the game. I'm not going to sit here and tell you he's going to field every single one. But just like he did in the Browns game, I expect him to field the vast majority of them. And all he has to do is pop one. All he has to do is pop one. If he can do that, he's getting closer. But right now, I still think he's on the outside looking in. You keep on knocking, but you can't come in. Right now, he's on the outside looking in. So I got a couple of quotables for you guys. This first one, I'm going to read it. It's a pretty long quote, so bear with me. But I thought it was one of the more impactful quotes that I've heard over the last 2 days. All right. The main thing is I'm just more confident in the offense. And I'm way more comfortable out there calling the plays and knowing what we're trying to accomplish with the play that we're calling. And I'm mentally in a good place with what EB's trying to do. And we're on the same page. It's a lot more fun out there now, kind of just playing instinctively at this point, kind of going back to just playing football without a whole lot of thinking going on, because I'm more comfortable with the offense. That was Sam Howell. I don't think a quote more so encapsulates what we're seeing from him in terms of his growth and why he looks so comfortable out there. Yesterday, we talked about Marlon Humphrey saying he looked confident. He looked comfortable back there. Why? Because Sam now knows the offense. And he says, I know what EB's trying to accomplish. I don't have to think anymore. I don't have to worry about what am I supposed to do. And all of you guys are eating up all of these film breakdowns. And I'll probably do one of the Ravens game for you. One, because we won't have as much, content moving forward because training camp's over and all of that good stuff. So it won't be as much to talk about. And we won't be playing our starters in the third preseason game. So I may go over the film with you guys, but I know a lot of y'all have been sucking up, people breaking down Sam Howell's, about 5 or 6 or 7 of his plays or whatever from the game last Friday against the Browns. And, one of the things that you see is him going through his progressions confidently. And again, you can't go through your progressions 1, 2, 3 and get to your third progression and get the ball off if the protection is lousy as some of y'all make it out to be. There were times where Sam was back there just chilling, cooling. And then there were times where he was under duress, obviously. But Sam Howell is a different quarterback because he's now comfortable. It's a gift and a curse because this is the thing you worry about is he gets comfortable, has a massive year. Ron is still here, but EB gets a gig somewhere else. It's possible. It's highly likely that happens if EB is able to come in here and turn this offense around. It's very likely that he gets a job this time around because you then can't just say it's Andy Reid. Now, maybe his brash personality and his demonstrative ways are too much for a franchise to take, but as we all know, and we've seen this before, owners want to win, and they'll stop at almost no cost to win. So if you tell me, hey, this guy's a little rough around the edges, but he can whip you into shape and he'll put you in a position to win, and he does that with Washington this year, it's not a doubt in my mind he'll be a head coaching candidate next year that finally gets one. But if Sam takes to this offense and then he's not in this offense anymore, and again, the hope is, and this is why I'm okay with it. I've made peace with the situation if it happens the way that, because I'm hoping, whatever happens, I'm hoping Sam comes out on top because we just need to get our quarterback. The hope is, and this is what I've reprogrammed my brain to think so that I don't feel bad about it, is this is why you go out and get Tavita Pritchard, right? Because he's supposed to be next in line and he's supposed to be soaking up all of EB's principles, and you just carry what EB did on and hope that he's able to do it. He's going to put his little twist on it, his spin on it, but you hope that the concepts and the verbiage and those things kind of stay the same. That's the hope. But I don't know. I saw, somebody sent me, I hate pro football talk with Mike Florio. He hates us. He hates us. Maybe a lot less now that Dan's no longer here. But every chance he got, he's always got some shit to say about us. And he kissed my ass, honestly. I'm not a big Mike Florio fan. But, he said something that I thought about the Ron situation with EB. And he said it felt like Ron was trying to use a bit of self-preservation tactics in putting that out there. Kind of like, hey, if he does a good job, don't get rid of me, because we've seen this happen before when you are afraid you're going to lose an offensive mind. You'll fire the guy that's currently there, that's a defensive-minded guy, in order to save the offensive guy from going elsewhere. The Bucs did it with Jameis Winston. I thought the Cowboys were going to do that, with your boy that's now in LA with the Chargers. But it didn't happen that way. But I said all of that to say this. I'm excited about that quote from Sam Howell, because what it shows and what it says to me is that he's playing at a very high level, and mentally he's overcome any obstacles that were maybe placed in front of him with the coaching change and, 2 years and 2 different schemes and, 2 different playbooks. He's overcome all of that. And now he can just go back to being himself. And I can just go out and play ball. Like he said, instinctively. I don't have to think. I can just go out here and play ball. And I kind of felt like last year against Dallas, you could see that there was a little bit of, thinking involved at some of those situations. I don't think that's the case now. I think he's just playing ball like he's back at Carolina. Then I got another quotable for you guys. All right. This one, I want you to take a listen to. This one is from our guy, JP Finley. He talked about the 2 days in Baltimore. Listen to JP Finley.
So let's get to what we actually saw. I think the Commanders were the better team for 2 days in Baltimore. You don't want to draw crazy conclusions from August practices, but what we saw from the Commanders was a willingness to be super physical at the line of scrimmage. I thought their offensive line was way better than we saw in Cleveland. Now, we got to wait till Monday night to watch again. But I think defensively, the Commanders dominated at the line of scrimmage. I thought Allen and Payne were killers in Baltimore. I thought Montez Sweat was really good. How about Andre Jones, a 7th-round rookie, getting work with the ones? I mean, there's so many good stories coming out of Baltimore. Not to mention Sam Howell, who is so firmly established as QB1. Don't worry about when or where Ron officially says it. He's QB1. There's a lot of good news happening. I can't wait for Monday night's game.
Those are some strong words from JP Finley, man. And JP usually shoots it straight. If it's not right, he's going to tell you. He's not biased. When JP says that, I believe it. And again, as he mentioned, in that same breath, as he complimented Washington, said that he felt like they were the better team over those 2 days. He didn't say they were the better team overall. He just said for those 2 days, Washington was the better team. And that Washington was physical in the trenches, up front. I told you this about the offensive line. We know the defensive line and what they're about. I don't ever worry about them. Never. Never have concerns over them. All right. Offensive-wise, though, I said, one thing I can tell you about this line, no matter the 5 guys, because of the personalities that we have on this line, Cosme and Gates and Wiley, no matter who's at left guard, those 3 in particular, Gates, Cosme, Wiley, they got a nasty disposition about them. All right. They're physical. They don't give a shit. And they're strong enough to back up their bravado. We haven't had that probably since the last time Trent Williams and Brandon Sheriff shared an offensive line here in Washington, in terms of being able to say, hey, we going to put somebody's dick in the dirt. We just haven't been able to do that. I think we're going to have some success running the ball this year. And I think we're going to be able to out physical some teams. Where I get nervous is the athleticism. If we see an athletic front like Dallas, I think is going to give us problems. I think we're going to be able to block Philadelphia. I think we're going to be able to block Philly. Dallas is the one that scares me because they've got raw athleticism up and down their defensive line. And those are the kind of guys that I think are going to give us trouble. the power guys aren't going to phase us. Jordan Davis isn't going to, I don't think he's going to phase us. I think it's going to be one of these small, shifty defensive tackles that are going to give us problems. So we'll see. But JP made a profound statement there. Don't want to overreact. It's August. But Washington went over there, handled business, and now JP wants to see what it looks like on Monday night against these same Ravens. Bart Scott can't wait. Anyway, I digress. Y'all know what it is. Let me get a quick sting.
New Howell order.
All right. So let's jump into the comment section and see what y'all got to say. Samuel Hatley, thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Y'all know what it is. Stand up. We in the building as always. Been a member of the MOBB for 22 months. Almost 2 years. Big shout out to my guy Sam, who writes, your favorite draft pick, Andre Jones, is balling. Yeah, I know. And if he makes the team, I got a nice, big, fat 00 waiting on him. And I'll be glad to give it. I won't be reluctant on this one because he earned it. But right now, he's killing it. And I told you, 7th round, for whatever reason, I always seem to miss in the 7th round on some of these dudes. But you know what? One of the things that I find myself getting in trouble with the late round guys is you cheat when you get to the 7th round because you allow the where the guy was selected to impact how much film you watch on them. And so I think I watched maybe 2 or 3 games on Andre Jones and I wasn't really blown away by them. And I was like, okay, I don't need to keep watching. And you might have watched 2 or 3 games where he was all right, but he didn't do anything special. So, and I know one of the games I watched, I intentionally went because he had like 2.5 sacks in that game, and I still wasn't blown away by the 2.5 sacks. But I told you this though. I also told you this. I thought he came and got into tremendous shape as well. He was not this light in college. I really think that he got in some of the best shape of his life, and I think it's showing out on the field. So anyway, I deserve that. Josh Dill, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for the super chat, Josh. And let me see if there's a comment from you anywhere in here. I don't see one, but I'll read this one. I see this comment, so I'll read this one from you, Josh. What's up, Louie? What's going on, Josh? 2 things. I want to ask, what do you think of the red zone plays will look like this year, and who do you think will be the biggest threat? If you've got a good offense, of course you've got your bread and butter, but what makes a red zone attack effective and dynamic is the ability to do multiple things. I've always told you guys that it starts with being able to run the football into the end zone. Most dynamic red zone offenses that have a high hit rate are the ones that can run the football. So your Tennessees and your Clevelands and Philadelphia, San Francisco, these are the teams that generally are going to have success in the red zone. Baltimore is another one because they can run the football as you get into close quarters and closer to the goal line. But in saying that, you got to be creative because it's a lot tighter down in the red zone. As you get inside the 10-yard line, there's a lot less space to operate with. So now this is when the creativity of the offensive coordinator comes into play. Sometimes you can be too cute and try to be too gimmicky. Sometimes it's just as simple as, I'm going to line my guy up against yours and we see who wins. A lot of times when you get down into the red zone and inside the 10, inside the 5, It's less about scheme, and it's more about my guy versus your guy. Or as they like to say, it's not X's and O's, it's Jimmy and Joe's. Right? Now it's about, hey, can my guy go make a play? Can Logan Thomas, can I put one up top shelf for only Logan can go get it? Can Terry win on this slant and I get it to him immediately? Can Jahan break a dude off? Can we get creative and go RPO and have Jahan open in the back of the end zone like we did the first 2 weeks of the season and never saw it again against Jacksonville in week 1 and then Detroit in week 2? Can we do that again? Like, you can get creative. We know what the Chiefs do. Snow globes and all kinds of crazy shit. Pikachu and, all of that shit that they run down there. I think we're going to see a diverse offense in the red zone, but more importantly, we're going to see a team that is capable of running the football into the end zone. And I think that's important for success in the red zone. And if it's done correctly, everybody's going to eat off of that. Tight ends, backs, out of the backfield, catch it. I mean, you see what the Chiefs do with the secret weapon known as Jerick McKinnon. I think he led all running backs last year in receiving touchdowns because you get down there and the last guy you're thinking about is a running back. I run a couple of slants and I send the running back out of the backfield on the flare and all of that traffic from those slants, and you just dump it off to the back. He walks in. Like, it doesn't have to be complicated. If you utilize, like, we ran a similar concept against Cleveland on that blitz where all Sam had to do was just dump it to the back. He was wide open in the flats, right? That's what you want down in the red zone. Just dump it to the back, let him do the rest. All right. Rashad Coker, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Rashad writes, Lou, whatever happened to the pod background? So when I first started using StreamYard to go live, because YouTube got rid of its the way I was going live on YouTube, they got rid of it. And so I had to start using something different. And then I really wanted to get into reading the comments and having them show up on the screen, which I couldn't do with just, using YouTube and using OBS. So I moved over to StreamYard. And on StreamYard, when I first started using it, you didn't have the capability of having background music playing. So now that you can do that, I may start trying to put it in there because I have it. I can't hear it though, and I'll probably have to just go trial and error. But now that I know how to utilize it, they just put this feature in probably like 2 or 3 months ago, maybe 6 months. But I just figured out how to use it. So now that I know how to use it, I may bring it back because, truth be told, low-key, I miss the background music too. It's funny though because you like it and a lot of people complained about it. But to each its own, right? Video channel. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, Andre Jones Jr. to Lou, and I took that personally. Yeah, I told you I deserve it. I'm like Tank. Maybe I deserve. All right, I definitely deserve all the work that's coming my way. Because I was flat out wrong about him, and I'm not ashamed to admit when I'm wrong. Because I told y'all when I'm right, I'll be the first to tell you I'm right. When I'm wrong, I'm gonna be the first to tell you I was wrong. And right now, he's proving me wrong, and I want him to finish the job. Okay, don't leave it short and not make the team. Finish the job. Da-da-da. Finish him. Like, finish me off, bro. Christopher McLaughlin, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy Chris writes, hey, Lou. What's going on, Chris? Hope all is well with you and the fam. Likewise, Christopher. Right? Likewise, Chris. I appreciate the sentiment, and I hope this video finds you and yours in great spirits. It says, who is one under the radar player that you expect at this moment to make the 53 and one that would surprise you, us that doesn't, barring injuries, and why? So I've already told you Alex Arma is the guy that I'm clutching on tight to. That's the guy that I'm telling you is going to make this football team. I don't think a lot of people had Alex Arma making the football team when camp started. Neither did I. I'm not going to sit here and act like I did. But it wasn't very long after camp got underway that I said, hey, look out for Alex Arma. So Arma is the guy that I've been pointing to all camp, and I'm sticking with that. Samson, I stick by my story. Okay, it's Alex Arma that's going to make the team. Now, for the guy that could get cut, that would be a surprise. I think that guy is Casey Toohill. I'm not sure that they're going to keep 10. I wouldn't be shocked if they kept 5 defensive ends and Toohill out, Andre Jones Jr. in, and Toohill is on the practice squad unless he gets scooped up by another squad. So that's going to be interesting to see what they do, because remember, nobody's under contract after this year, but the rookies are. You cut them, and somebody else snatches them up, and you're back to square one. They spent a 7th round pick on Andre Jones. They have cheap labor for the next 4 years out of him. I think they're going to hold on to him. If they feel like he's playing that well and he shows well, and I thought he played well against Cleveland, so there's already good tape out there. If he does it again against Baltimore, it's highly unlikely that he passes through waivers and you get him back on your practice squad. Defensive ends are hard to find. Quality ones, whether it's a quality backup or a starter, they're hard to find. And if you think that this kid has even the slightest chance of being solid, you got to hold on to him. And so that could mean Casey Toohill on the last year of his rookie deal could be the odd man out. So those are the two that I'm going with right now. Alex Arma making his team, and Casey Toohill being a surprise cut. Christopher McLaughlin, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Chris, double up. Thank you for doubling up. My guy Chris writes, hey Lou, what's up, Chris? He says, who do you expect to lead the team this season in sacks, interceptions, and forced fumbles, sans any injuries, and why? So sacks is going to be Montez Sweat. I told you, I think he has Daron Payne from last year written all over him. And I think he's ready to go out and have that year to allow him to get to the bag. And he knows what he has to do. And I think he's focused and he's ready to get it done. They are dying to pay one of these ends. They just need one to step up. I think he's going to be the guy. Hey, it's me. Let me see that. You got a briefcase? Let me see. Yeah, that's mine. I think that's what Montez is on this year. So I'm going to say he leads the team with 13 sacks this year. 12 and a half or 13 is the number for me. For him, interceptions, I am going to say that Derek Forrest is going to lead the team in interceptions. He just strikes me as a right place, right time type of guy. Like last year when I think it was Juste, I think that had that tremendous coverage. And the ball went through A.J. Brown's hands, and it might have been he had the coverage on A.J. Brown deep, and the ball went through A.J. Brown's hands because he was right there and into his hands, and he picked it off. Like, remember the pick against the Texans that Juice got hurt on, where he knocked the ball into the air, and he was right there to pick it off? Remember the pick in week 1 against Jacksonville where Trevor Lawrence is running for his life and he just flings it down the field as if it was 4th down and he had to throw it? And look who it is, Johnny on the spot, standing right by the sidelines, getting his feet ready so that he can catch this ball in bounds and end the game. I just think he's got a knack for being at the right place at the right time, and I think he's going to do it again. And I think he's going to end up with 4 interceptions to lead the team. But I think we're going to have a bunch of guys with 3 and 2. And so the number isn't going to be as sparse as it was last year with the 9 that we had as a team. I think that number is going to be somewhere in the 17, 18 range. I think we're going to double that number, and he's going to lead the charge with 4. Forced fumbles. I'm going to say that my guy Chase Young leads the team in forced fumbles. He was so good at that in his rookie season, and I think he went back to Ohio State with his man Larry Johnson, and Larry's got him using his hands again. And I don't know if you saw the move that he got the stinger on, but that was some good shit from Chase, man. He destroyed Jedrick Wills' hands on that play. Wills tried to extend. Chase took his forearm and jacked that shit up over his head and tossed him aside and got to Deshaun Watson. And he just couldn't finish because his other hand was kind of caught with Wills, and so he wasn't able to just fully wrap, and that's how he got the stinger. But and I think that stinger stopped him from trying to wrap up because he could have still even got a piece of his ankle and maybe tripped him up. But once he got that stinger, all shit shuts down at that point. So if Chase is doing that, he could have himself a whale of a season. And one thing about Chase is he doesn't have to get to the quarterback to get the ball out. Like I've seen him, getting pushed around and reach out and knock the ball out of the quarterback's hand. Like a lot of our dudes aren't doing that. So I think Chase is going to lead the team in forced fumbles this season. Jalen Dorsett, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, Jalen writes, you ain't have to get on my unk like that, Lou. Hey, it's the face mask that I'm talking about. Not Tony Dorsett. It's the face mask, man. That's an ugly ass face mask, though. I just got to keep it a buck with you. Jay Willard. Stand up. We in the building. You know what it is. My guy Jay Willard, been a member of the MOBB for 23 months. You know what it is. Salute for almost being a member of the mob for 2 years, man. Holding the kid down. My guy Jay writes, Lou, hope all is well. Likewise, Jay, to you and yours. I'm loving this aggression that I'm seeing from the team, and we are finally shit talking and punching at the ball. And I love that. And it's a mindset. You see, we got into 2 fights yesterday over punching at the ball. I can't be mad at that. That's what we've been asking for. I want him to do it when it counts. I don't know if y'all saw Milo Eifler punch that bitch. It wasn't him. I'm charging some shit to his account that he doesn't deserve. I think it was I'm forgetting 45's name. Harris. I think it's Scooter Harris. It was Harris on that play. And punched that bitch right on out. Bow. And John Ridgway recovered. It looks different. It looks different from that standpoint. Like I want to see if, this carries over into, this next preseason game and if it carries over into the regular season. But I like what I'm seeing thus far. I like the aggressiveness from this team to this point. Yes, it's a different level right now that we're seeing. JP, my guy, John Perez, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, JP writes, Lou, I'm in a ranting mood, but I'm going to keep it cool. People got to chill on Chase after a damn stinger. I understand why people are hard on him, but fans should be rooting for his success, not his demise. So you know how this goes, JP. So I've explained to you the psyche of a human being, right? Not just a fan, because this extends past that. When you get into the psyche of a human being, humans like to be right. And sometimes they rather be right at the expense of something they claim to love than to be wrong and have it benefit the thing that they claim that they love, right? So instead of someone saying, hey, like I just told you, I'm flat out wrong about Andre Jones. I want to be wrong. I want him to be good. People will die on that hill. Oh, he's trash, because they said that already So instead of them doubling back and saying, hey, I made a mistake, and owning it and saying, look, man, if he's good, that's helping the team. I want him to be good. They're going to die on that hill and say, no, he's got to be trash because I already said he was trash and I got to be right. And so with Chase Young, there's a couple of things that work here. And a lot of these fans get on my nerves because if we were to go back in the time machine of 2020 and ask them who they wanted to draft, they were saying Chase Young. They weren't saying Justin Herbert. But now because we've gotten 4 years into the game now, and you're able to look back at that moment in time and with revisionist history now, because now you've got 2020 vision because it's hindsight. Now you're looking back and now you can say we should have took Justin Herbert. You weren't saying that in 2020, but now those people are trying to act as if that's what they were saying back in 2020, and we should have never taken him. We should have took Justin Herbert. Well, you weren't saying that back in 2020, so come off of that. But then you also get into he ain't done nothing since 2020. And, he hasn't made it easy. He's made it very easy for fans to not like him. He's been unapologetic for everything that he's done. I'm not mad at him. I don't give a shit. Either he's going to get it done or he's not. I'm not one of these people that get super invested and bent out of shape about a guy. Oh, he's not at training camp. Where is he at? He should be here with his teammates. This bullshit. Like that ain't me, right? All I care about is, are you going to produce on Sundays, Mondays, some Thursdays, and maybe a Saturday or two? That's all I care about. And some fans, they made a declaration. They drew a line in the sand and they said, Chase Young sucks. He's a bust. They start using the B word. Now you can't go back. Once you start throwing the B word around, you can't go back. Ain't no going back from that. And so now they've drawn a line in the sand, they've planted their flag, and they ain't moving. Now he needs to suck in order to fit their narrative. And if he doesn't, now they got egg on their face. Now they look like a damn fool. And they much rather be able to say, see, I told you, than be wrong and have it benefit the team. And that's the shit I can't get with. That's when I got to separate myself like, hey, you stay over there. Because we don't run in the same circles because we don't think the same. Because at the end of the day, the goal, the end game should always be win at all costs. And Chase Young can help you win. So again, JP, you can't try to rationalize with those type of fans. Just let them be who they're going to be. Jason Fios, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, Jason Fios, writes, what up, Lou? What's up, Jason? Says, all the best to you and the family. Likewise. Can you give a scenario that we keep EB as the head coach or OC, all the talent for the back end of the DBs, DN, and receivers? It's going to be fun. Who gets those spots? So I think I've given this scenario. I posed this in a poll that I presented to you guys probably like a month ago, maybe right before the start of training camp. And it essentially said that you basically had a Ron Rivera season, right? You had a Rivera season, which means you won 7 or 8 games. The offense was really good. The coaching, was all right. Wasn't great. And the defense was all right. But clearly it wasn't good enough. And maybe your special teams let you down. Maybe Slide missed a couple of critical kicks. Maybe there was a couple of breakdowns that hurt you, from a special team standpoint or whatever, right? There's various reasons why when you look up at the end of the season, you've only won 7 or 8 games. You were a good enough team to win 7 or 8 games, but you weren't good enough to get over the hump and win 10 or 11 and get to the playoffs. But the offense wasn't the reason. And it's clear that EB has the Midas touch. And this is who Ron Rivera is. This is year 14. He's only had 3 winning seasons. Yada, yada, yada. He's never had a winning season here in Washington. The best he's done is he's broken even. It's time for a change. And you're looking and staring at EB and saying, why not him? That's a scenario. What you don't want to happen is for the wheels to fall off of this thing and Ron get fired during the season. Because in that event, I don't give a shit what EB does after Ron's gone. Everybody's probably fired in that scenario. Because if we get off to a rotten enough start that Ron ends up having to bite the bullet and fall on the sword and get fired, that means EB's offense is probably to blame as well. He's not, clean in all of this. Everybody's got a little bit of dirt on them if that's the case. So I think the best scenario, if you're looking to keep EB, there's two. The best and the most likely is we kill it on offense. We win 11 games, 11, 12 games. We make it to the playoffs. We win a playoff game. And still nobody wants to give EB a job, which we've seen that shit already happen. So it's not out of the realm of possibility. And the shit that Ron pulled earlier this year doesn't help his chances. I don't think that's going to make or break him, getting a job. But it doesn't help. That's for damn sure. So I think there's that, where he just doesn't, another coaching cycle comes and goes and he doesn't get a gig. At that point, something would have to be done at that point if he were to turn this program around from an offensive standpoint. And he's still, because we've seen guys do so much less and get work. What did Zach Taylor ever do to be a head coach in the league? What did Nathaniel Hackett do? Again, Coach Aaron Rodgers, what did he effing do? Right? Like some of these dudes who have gotten jobs, and I like Cliff Kingsbury. What did he do? Man got fired. The man got fired from Texas Tech. What did he do to get a job? Not to shit on Cliff Kingsbury, because I actually like Cliff. And you telling me that this dude can't get a gig? At that point, it would become a problem. But that's one scenario. The other is the one that I already explained to you, which is we do the Rivera thing, win 7 games, go 7-10, win 8 games, go 8-9, or 8-8-1, or 7-9-1, and just not enough. He gets canned, but Josh Harris looks over and says, the offense was phenomenal. We could keep this continuity with Sam Howell, or we could let him walk and just hire a new GM, let that GM hire a head coach. And so that's what you got to kind of play in. You got to think about all that stuff, though. Because if you bring in a new GM, he's going to want to hire his own coach. And that coach may not be Eric Bieniemy. So if you stick a new GM with Eric Bieniemy, at the first sight of trouble, he's going to try to move on from EB. So, again, that's a dicey situation. But we'll see what happens. The same thing is it exists in LA with the Chargers, with Brandon Staley. It's the same exact scenario. They brought on offensive coordinator from Dallas, right? Kellen Moore. And they're looking to marry their young stud quarterback with a young offensive mind for the next 15 years. And if Brandon Staley can't prove to them that he's the right man for the job, and Kellen Moore comes in there and Justin Herbert turns from a rock star into a mega star. I'm not, right now he's like Adele. And that's really good, right? But if Kellen Moore comes over there and turns him into what the hell is her name? Why can't I think of her name? It's the only female out there that's bigger than Beyonce. And I'm totally blanking on her damn name. But if he turns him into her, it's a no-brainer. You got to fire him. You got to fire Brandon Staley, and you got to hire Kellen Moore, right? So Taylor Swift. Thank you, Tommy. Taylor Swift. If he turns him into Taylor Swift, it's a wrap, right? It's over. They changed federal laws because of Taylor Swift's tickets. Like, it's different, right? This shit, it's different. Okay? that's the same thing here. Like, you want to marry Sam with a young offensive mind. EB is sitting right here in your lap. That could be the move, or it could not be. We'll see. As far as the back end of the DBs, the DNs, receivers, going to be fun. Who you think gets these spots? We're going to talk about that over the next week or so. Like, we're really going to dive into the roster heavy. I'm going to give you my projections. So all of that's coming up. But you guys kind of know where I'm coming from. I've already explained a lot of this to you already. So anyway, I digress. Keith, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Keith writes, love you guys. Haven't super chatted in a minute. It's been a minute. It's been a while, but it's all good. Can't wait to go week 1 on my B-Day weekend. For the first time in a long time, we look like a real team. Feels good. Feels good. But all of this doesn't mean jack squat if we don't actually go out and make it happen when it counts. And that's week 1. I swear the Arizona Cardinals look like food. But we're not there yet. Let's get through this Ravens preseason game, and then we can start talking reckless. At least I will. But we ain't there yet. Cole Stoppleworth. Stand up. We in the building. You know what it is, Cole. Been a member of the MOBB for 16 months, heading on $1.50. My guy Cole writes, Lou always been a bit of a lurker. Ain't nothing wrong with it, man. Ain't nothing wrong with it at all. You know, you talking to a fellow lurker. So I know how it goes. He says, would you say that starting from the Dolphins on December 3rd, after that is our toughest stretch? If so, can you elaborate on it? So I'm going to dive into the schedule too. So, because again, I've stayed away from the schedule on purpose because I wanted to save it for the Super Friends. We've already had a deep dive into the schedule when it first came out, but I've stayed away from the schedule because it's going to be hard for me to not predict wins and losses if I'm getting into a deep dive on the schedule. So what I have intentionally done is stayed away from it until after we meet, and you're gonna get a heads up on what we're doing with that here in the next day or two. So stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, I'll just say this. I know the schedule, ratchets up late. I know the 49ers are late in the season. I know Dallas is late in the season. As you mentioned, the Dolphins are late in the season. The Jets are late in the season. It's pretty tough. It's not going to be easy. And we need to do a lot of work before we get to that stretch, because what we've done in the past is we put ourselves in these holes, dug ourselves out, and then we go to these stretches at the end of the season, and now you need it, and now you're playing some of the tougher teams on the schedule, and it's just not conducive to finishing the job. That wasn't the case last year. We had the Giants twice, and not to shit on the Giants, but they were beatable. We had the Browns at the crib, and we couldn't even take care of business. We had opportunities, and we just blew them. But that's not going to be the case this year. We're going to be playing, more than likely, we're going to be playing tough teams down the stretch. So we'll see what happens. Darnell Kelly. Stand up. You know what it is. My guy, Darnell, thank you for being a member of the MOBB for 23 months. My guy, Darnell Kelly, almost a member for 2 years, writes, that opening bass knocks in my car with those 12 subs and that 2,000 watt amp. Oh, I bet it does. That probably sounds beautiful, actually. Where they go, doom, Louie T Network. Hey, that first, it probably knocked real hard. J Mart, Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, J Mart. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Writes, what's up, LT? What's going on, Jay? Says, better pick up Zeke or Cook? Take command. That is a great question. So I'm assuming you're in a PPR league. Cook's going to catch way more passes than Zeke, I feel like, out of the backfield, but Zeke has a better chance of scoring touchdowns. That's the only reason that you have to consider Zeke, is because when they get inside the 5-yard line, they're probably going to put him in the game. It doesn't matter who got them down there. They're probably going to put Zeke in there because he's a hammer, right? So he could have less touches and less of an impact, but you look up and, yeah, he only had 7 carries, but 2 of them were touchdowns, whereas Dalvin Cook could have 15 carries for 85 yards, but no touchdowns. So, and he's going to be sharing. Like, don't think Dalvin Cook's just going to come in there and they're not going to give Breece Hall no love and they're not going to give Michael Carter no snaps. Like, he's still sharing the backfield too, So I'd probably still lean towards Dalvin Cook. I think he's going to just be involved in the offense a lot more than Zeke Elliott will. But boy, that's tough because I just think they're gonna feed Zeke the football in those short yardage situations down by the goal line, and he's gonna get in the end zone if nothing else. So that's a tough one, but I'd go with Dalvin Cook. J Mart, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. J Mart writes, LT, with a great year, is Chase Young on the team in 2024? I think there's a very distinct possibility that happens. Absolutely. I look at it like this. They want one of these edge rushers to step up. They really don't care who, but Josh Harris probably does. Look, Josh Harris wants to win, but you also want fan engagement. You want ticket sales. You want excitement. Chase Young delivers all of that. Like, the guy you really want to re-sign if you're the owner is Chase Young. He's polarizing. Kids have his jersey. Adults have his jersey. People know his name. You don't have to be a fan of Washington. You just be an NFL fan. You know who Chase Young is. You may not know who Montez Sweat is, but you know Chase Young. There's people that don't watch football that know who Chase Young is because he was on Family Feud. If there's any way they can bring him back, they will. But I've already said this. If Sam Howell is what I think he is, and you already know how I feel about Sam and what I think he's about to do, and what he's about to embark upon. If Sam shows you that he's at least leaning towards being a franchise quarterback and he's the starter going into next year, the unquestioned starter, you can't afford both edge rushers. You can't, because you got to pay Sam. And you don't have to pay Sam next year, but it's the year after that. And you don't want to put yourself in a position where you're going to have to cut several players that you want to keep because you decide to keep both defensive ends. So I've already laid out a scenario where Sam is good, Montez is great, and Chase is really good. And you have all three of, you have both of them back with Montez getting the long-term deal and Chase getting the franchise tag. I've already laid out that scenario. Because even in that situation, if you get to a point where Chase is unhappy, he wants out, at least he's on the roster and you dangle him as trade bait and get something for him more than a third-round compensatory pick at that point. But you don't want to just let him walk. Again, now if he turns in a 5.5 sack season, it's injury riddled or he just didn't produce at a high level, you just let him go. But if Chase Young balls out this year, he'll be back. I think he'll be back. They'll find a way to make it happen. Because they don't have anybody else that they got to use the franchise tag on. If they really love Cam Curl, they'll get a deal done with him before the start of the tagging period, before free agency kicks off. They'll get a deal done with him. Edward Washington. Stand up, you know what it is. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB for 21 months. Who writes, thanks for the content, Lou. Appreciate you for supporting, Edward. Appreciate all the support. My guy, Jason Fios, member for 17 months. You know what it is, Jason. Appreciate you. Almost 18. Writes, hit me with the double up. Thanks for all you do. Double up. Appreciate you, Jay. My guy, Jason Fios. Fat American is back with facts. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, Lou, Kevin Sheehan was saying Ron was bending the knee for the Ravens in his presser. What do you think? Ron says dumb things, but come on now. Nitpicking now? I don't know about all of that. I can't say. I just know that Ron sometimes, and you guys know how I feel about it. Sometimes he just says too much. You know, he does a little too much. But at the end of the day, like that kind of stuff is when I just pull out my old Ron Rivera, thesaurus dictionary, my book of Ron-isms, and I ask you, is that interesting or important? That sidebar conversation, that's interesting. It's not important. At the end of the day, nothing that he said over the last 2 days impactful, gonna, create waves, have other people who aren't paying attention all of a sudden now paying attention. That's not what's going to happen. So I don't know if he was or wasn't. I don't personally see it that way. But if you don't like him, you can do that, right? Or you think that he's a little extra, and obviously some of the things that have just gone on might have rubbed people the wrong way. And Ron's done that multiple times since he's gotten here. He's done that multiple times where he's put his foot in his mouth. And he literally said, he told EB, I put my foot in my mouth. So, I don't know. Fat American is back with facts. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, I know results is all that matters, but what do you think about EB and the pace he's brought to the practices? Are you a fan of his coaching style or no? Yes, I am a fan of his coaching style. That's the only style that I've really ever known. Most of the coaches, I shouldn't say that. Most of the coaches that I've played for have been very demanding coaches. At the beginning, if you don't know that coach, you're going to hate them initially. Like Jamal Charles was like, he told Andy Reid, get him the hell out of here. I can't play for this dude. By the time he was done in Kansas City, Jamal Charles was swearing by Eric Bieniemy. And he loves him. And every time somebody says something about him, Jamal Charles is one of the first dudes at the defense of Eric Bieniemy. And so if you don't have a relationship with that coach prior to, yeah, it's going to rub you the wrong way a little bit. But as long as the intent is there and you know that he's not fussing at you, he's fussing to make you better. He's not fussing to embarrass you, And that's what some guys have a hard time reconciling in their brain is he's not attacking me. He's attacking my effort, or he's attacking this or my technique. He's not attacking me personally. And when you're coddled or you can't mentally make it make sense in your brain, then you take it personal. And once you take it personal, then it's an issue. But all the coaches that I've known that are like EB, they only have one goal and purpose in mind, and that's to get the most out of you. And I think his coaching style does exactly that. So it may not be for everybody. I've already said, and everybody knows that. It's not going to be for everybody. That doesn't mean it's not effective. It's not effective for all. But I think with kids, that kind of approach can be a little dicey. And not because, kids are soft or this, that, and the third. It's just that, kids are kids. And everybody comes from a different environment. And some kids just don't respond well to that, right? As you get older, as you become an adult, you got to figure out ways to adapt and adjust. You're no longer a kid. You got to figure it out. And if you can't, then this ain't for you. So, I like the style, and I love the tempo. I love the pace. Because what was one of our biggest gripes last year? We'd be down 2 scores with 7 minutes to go in the game, and we still huddling up. Like, how are you supposed to come back? You can't even execute a hurry-up offense. And we were doing that for years, right? So I love the tempo. Get to the line of scrimmage in enough time so that you can make the necessary adjustments and calls at the line of scrimmage to get everything set up the right way. We can't be wasting timeouts because we didn't get to the line of scrimmage fast enough. You want to be disciplined, you want to be prepared, and you want to be, in better shape than the opposition. And I think EB is going to put us in that position along with his situational awareness. Robbie Witherall, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Once again, thank you for the dono. Who writes, did you see Emmanuel Forbes' tweet on X? No, I did not see it. But I may go check in. I may go looking for it now that you just made mention of it. Spence Khalees, stand up. You officially hit the year mark. Really do appreciate you. My guy Spence writes, no more 87 octane offense. We be 91 plus now. I love it. Love it. Want more of it. That's that explosive. We might mess around and, I don't know. Might mess around and be some diesel fuel around here, but we'll see. 91 for sure right now. That's what we aiming for. How about some 93? How about some 93? That's what I'm trying to get to. I don't know if we there yet, though. Fat American is back with facts. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, I personally don't care. And I like Kevin, but geez. Ron be getting crucified regardless of what he says or does. Anyhow, we ending the Ravens win streak. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm hoping that we end off these, really good joint practices for the Commanders with an exclamation mark, which is a dub over the Ravens and ending the little funky 24-game win streak in the preseason. It's historic. I mean, it's not one that anybody's going to remember 15 years from now, unless you're a Ravens fan. But it'll be a great trivia question. But it's got to end at some point. A wise woman once told me, all good things must come to an end. Why not on Monday night? I think we got the depth to finally do it. I think we got the backups that can come in the game and sustain and play well enough for us to do work. So we'll see. I'm still kind of anxious to see what the Ravens do. I think they need work. I think Lamar needs work. I think they should play their starters, but again, we'll see what they decide to do. Um, 24-year survivor. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. 24-year survivor writes, hey, Lou, what's going on? Says, hope you and the fam are is well. Cheer. Likewise, hope you and the family are doing great. So at what point in the season can we be confident to say that we are the juggernauts? 4-0? So you know what 4-0 would entail, right? 4-0 would entail a home victory over the Buffalo. First of all, let's go back. A road victory versus the Denver Broncos. All right, which is no easy feat. Even if the offense is struggling, we know those son of a bitches play defense, if nothing else. Okay, in the altitude and all that, we know if nothing else, they know how to play some goddamn defense. So that's no easy feat. Okay, and not to disrespect Arizona, but we don't think they're going to be very good this year. But that's a road win at Denver, a home win over the Buffalo Bills, and then a road win over the Philadelphia Eagles in successive weeks. I'd say a 4-0 start would have us losing our shit. Okay. That wouldn't make us juggernauts, but it would have us feeling like it. 4-0 doesn't make you a juggernaut because you can easily get knocked off your perch real quick. And you look up, you start 4-0, and then all of a sudden, you hit a 2-game skid, and then you end up finding yourself losing 4 out of 5. And next thing you know, you're 5-4 in the season. So much for being a juggernaut, right? So 4-0 don't make you a juggernaut. It's when we start getting to the midpoint of the season and you're 7-1, or you're 6-2, or you're 8-0, or we get to week 11 and you're 9-1, or you're 8-2. That's when we can start talking reckless. Like, nah, y'all don't want this. Because now we've established, you've seen enough of the team. There's a large enough sample size. Because you can get lucky the first 3-4 games of the season. You can catch a team with an injury. Because things happen in the NFL. You know that. We both know that. But that'd be a hell of an accomplishment to start 4-0. Because you've got to beat some really good teams in order to do that. But what would be interesting is if you got off to a 4-0 start, knowing what's after that, there's a stretch there, Atlanta, the Giants, there's some winnable football games. Then you can't let that 4-0, start go to your head and mess around and then drop one to Atlanta. Or don't beat the Giants. You know what I'm saying? So you'd have to continue to show that we're not bullshitting around in order for you to feel like a juggernaut. Ace the One, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Ace the One writes, I'm very pleased with the joint practices. Obviously, the plays are vanilla, but in turn, it's talent versus talent, and we held our own. And I think the Ravens could be special this year. We can be too. And that's what Sam kind of alluded to today at the presser. One of the things that he talked about was the Ravens kind of got them early in day one, because they threw some things at them that they weren't expecting. And again, you're not game planning, so it can be a little tough sometimes. But he said, after that, we got our bearings and we started to execute, and we did the little things correct. And like you said, there is no game planning. So it's mano a mano. It's talent versus talent, and who's going to win out. And like you said, we won our fair share. We lost, our fair share of reps. But guess what? We held our own. This wasn't a one-sided beatdown. Like I was hearing today, I popped in on a Cleveland channel that was talking. The title kind of caught me off guard for a Cleveland channel, and it said something to the effect of the Browns show that they're just quite not ready yet in joint practice versus Eagles. So I popped in there real quick just to see what the commotion was about, and they got dominated at practice by the Eagles. They're having joint practices with the Eagles this week, and they play tomorrow on Thursday night. And I'm assuming the Eagles won't play Hurts because they just had these joint practices. And the Eagles dominated them. And Deshaun Watson is struggling. And I told anybody that would listen, I don't think he's a great fit for Kevin Stefanski's offense. Baker Mayfield is a much better fit for Kevin Stefanski's offense. Deshaun Watson is a playmaker, but I don't know if he fits this offense well. We're going to find out. We're going to see. At the end of the day, you don't want to hear that coming out of a joint practice, that one team was dominated by the other. I don't think the Ravens feel like they got dominated by us, and we certainly don't feel like they dominated us. So it felt like both teams got in good work, to your point, that the Ravens usually are good. I don't know if they're going to be all that good this year or not. I think this new offense is going to be a little tricky for them to navigate. It may take them a little while. It may take them the entire season. Who knows? But whatever the case may be, they're a quality organization. They got talent on their football team. And like you said, we went toe-to-toe with them. And you got to feel good about that, because there have been plenty of years where we would have went over there and we would have got our asses handed to us. And, we would have been feeling really bad leaving this thing. Like, it's not close. One of the times we had a joint practice with the Patriots, and all anybody wanted to talk about was how the Patriots looked and how we looked. It wasn't about the actual, action on the field itself. It was just how professional they look and how sloppy and disorganized we look. And it's not even close. We're not even in the same class with them. That's not the case anymore. So we'll see. Jamal Hamlin, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy Jamal writes, "Hey Lou, what's up, Jamal? All I can say is, what a way to start your day with the LTN NHO. Anybody can get it. Anytime, anywhere." Speaking of which, off topic for a second. I got it today. Sometimes as you get older, you get a reminder that you're older. I had one of those moments today. So I'm at the gym and I'm doing a little cardio, and I've been doing a really good job of stretching, man. And I'm not a stretcher, but I've been doing a really good job of stretching. I'm proud of myself, right? So today I'm at the gym. I forget to stretch. And I hop my ass on this damn treadmill, turn the bitch up to 11, turn the incline up to 7, and I'm running, right? And I do this all the time. I just forgot to stretch today. Never used to be a problem because I never was a stretcher. Probably got about 5 seconds left in this little run or whatever. And then the old hammy says, "Gotcha, bitch. I told you, didn't I tell you? Didn't I tell you? You don't stretch? I was coming back for your ass." And I grabbed those side handles so goddamn quick and jumped in the air. Because if I would have tried to take another step, face plant on the goddamn treadmill, it would have got ugly quick. So yes, you can get it anywhere, anytime. And that's how I'm feeling about our boys. You can get it anywhere, anytime. Anybody can get this work. So anyway, I digress, man. Appreciate you, Jamal. Fat American is back with facts. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, my guy, Fat American. Writes, "Andrews ran away from D-Payne, LOL. He didn't want it." Look, guys aren't stupid. They know, right? They know better. They know better. They know what areas are no flex zones. All right. Mark Andrews, of all the DBs Mark Andrews could have picked on, he picked on the smallest dude in our secondary. He ain't take that shit over to Juste or Cam Curl. And again, they weren't the ones that committed the infraction. Maybe if they would have done it, he would have did the same thing to them. But Danny Johnson got to be 5'9", 5'10". And that's the dude he decided to walk over, scoop up, and slam. Anyway, dudes know. Like, There's certain dudes you willing to try, and there's other dudes, nah, I'm good. I'm gonna pass on that. That dude got me by 70 pounds. What I want with him. John Perez, my guy, JP. Double up. I think this actually might be a triple for you. I feel like this might be a triple. I think it's a double. I think it's a double. I think I'm right on this. My guy, JP, writes, I love our roster, but I am a little concerned about tight end if Cole and Logan get hurt. I would have drafted a tight end because I don't know about Bates. I think they're going to draft a tight end next year. I don't know how good the tight end draft class is going to be. I know there's a stud at the top. The tight end at Georgia is a beast. So we already know there's one stud tight end in the draft class. I don't know how many are going to ultimately be in the draft class, but they're going to be looking for a tight end next year. I firmly believe that. No matter if Ron is here or not, they're going to be looking to upgrade that position in particular. The only reason that it feels this way is because they were assuming Amani Rogers would be in the mix right now. They did not know he was going to tear his ACL. Had they had that information prior to the draft, they probably would have taken a tight end, but they didn't know that. So that's unfortunate. I'm worried about the tight end position if anything happens to Logan. To hell with Logan and Cole. I'm nervous if anything happens to Logan because Cole has got me a little nervous. I'm still rocking with Cole, and I still think he has a chance to have, a huge impact on his offense this year. But we need Logan Thomas, and they know it, and that's why they're not playing him, and that's why they've been super cautious with him because they know how impactful he's going to be to this offense. Jason Rogers, my guy, Uncle Jay. Stand up. We in the building. You know what it is. Been a member for 14 months. My guy, Uncle Jay, says, we old, Lou. Stairmaster is your best friend. I'm going to have to figure some shit out, man. Because now I'm over here walking around looking like an old crippled man. Hamstring is grabbing me. This shit hurt, man. Like, I ain't even gonna bullshit you. My shit is tight right now, bro. I will say that this is probably a grade 1, strain of the hamstring. Is not a serious one. I caught it before it got really, really bad. The one that I did at the basketball court about 3 years ago when I was playing with my nephew, that was the first time that I realized, bro, you old. Like, I don't know what you think this is, but you old. You better start stretching. That one was serious. I mean, that shit had me on the shelf for about 2 weeks. This one, I think I can get over this one in a matter of days if I handle it correct. And I've been stretching and I've been taking it easy since it happened this morning. So I think I'll be all right. But yeah, I got to realize, bro, you ain't no spring chicken, man. You better stretch. Stop playing. I see some of your jokes. I hear your jokes. Yeah, I'm old. You're going to be old one day too. So just understand that Father Time is undefeated. And I hope you listening to me when I'm talking to you right now, because I want you to not make the same mistakes that I did. All right. I'm going through it so you don't have to go through that. Anyway. We heard from Ron Rivera, Kendall Fuller, and Sam Howell. So real quick, Ron, kind of gave a synopsis of the training camp or the joint practices. He talked about the physicality, the skirmishes. You don't want it, but it is what it is. And he talked to his players and said, look, that doesn't help. And he said even when he was a player, he hated when there were skirmishes and fights because it doesn't help you get better. So he talked about that. But I don't want that to overshadow. And I think he, said, look, don't let that overshadow the fact that we got some good work in. And he was really pleased with the offense because, remember, he was over there the entire 2 days of joint practices watching the offense and their every move. And he complimented the offensive line. You know, they got some work to do, but he definitely felt like they showed up and did some good things, got some good work in. Really complimentary of Sam. Refused to name him as the starting quarterback. Why? I don't know. But and we all know he's the starting quarterback, and we all know he's going to be the starting quarterback. This was never a competition, despite what Ron said, and that's okay too. You know, if that's what he's got to do for his mental health, to make him feel better and sleep better at night, go right ahead. Tell yourself that it's a competition. Keep complimenting Jacoby Brissett. You know, every time you compliment Sam, just to make it seem like it's even, but your actions speak louder than your words. This man has barely took any first team reps. And it's clear who QB1 is, and it's only a matter of time. And I said this week would go a long way in determining and crystallizing a lot of things. I think we crystallized the quarterback position. And I told you, I expect Sam to be named the starting quarterback this week, you know, after these joint practices. If he takes care of business, he did. I expect that announcement to be coming as soon as maybe Friday. Meanwhile, I think the left guard situation is still as murky as it ever was, because as Sadiq comes back in and looks like he's ready to maybe put a stranglehold on this thing, the calf starts to act up again. Again, I'm not going to count him out, but it's not a good look. We'll see what happens. Still have questions and not all the answers there. Defensive end, I thought really, really took a turn that I didn't expect, with, you know, FA and, you know, Andre Jones Jr. getting some first team reps with Chase out. So that situation has gotten really interesting. Same with tight end and all of that good stuff. But, you know, Ron talked about the work that they got and you know, what he saw from Sam and his growth and you know, he said the decision making is the thing that he really likes the most, is Sam making smart decisions with the football. And he's going to name him QB1 here shortly. He complimented Alex Arma again. He talked about his versatility, and I'm trying to tell y'all, I think he's going to make this team. He complimented John Bates, and maybe Bates needed that, because the drop was egregious on Friday night. And like I said, he was running with the third string at one point in practice today, but Bates has stepped up. We know we're going to need him as a blocker regardless of what. And so I've heard that he's really worked hard, has John Bates, to make himself more of a complete tight end. We'll see if it yields any dividends or not. I'm looking forward to seeing if there's a new and improved John Bates. That one play isn't going to deter me to give John Bates a chance. There's a lot to like about John Bates, and he was wide ass open. Yeah, I mean, that's the Browns' fault for blowing coverage, but he was wide ass open. So he got open. I want to see if Bates can make himself a viable target for Sam this year. So we'll see what happens. Kendall Fuller, I just love Kendall, man. Talked about these practices and what it meant. And, you know, the same thing we've heard from a lot of the players. Just feels good to see somebody different play against, you know, guys with different technique and give you different looks. And, you know, Odell is again, one of the more dynamic receivers in the league when he's healthy. And so that's definitely good work if you're going up against him. And he just talked about the growth of the secondary. They even asked him, was this the best and you know, most talented and deepest secondary he's been a part of in Washington? And he stopped for a second and he said, yeah. And then he said, you know, my first year, I think he said my second year, we were pretty talented. I'm wondering, is he talking about his first stint with Washington when he was in his, you know, second year in the league? Or is he talking about the second stint in the second year, which would be 2021? I don't know which one he's talking about. But whatever the case may be, you know, he talked about, you know, the depth of the secondary and how he's really excited about what they can do back there on the back end. And I mean, if he really wants to be, I think Kendall Fuller has coach written all over him. If he really wants to be a coach when he's done playing football, I don't know if that's something that he's interested in, but if he does have a desire, you could see it. He's definitely got that demeanor and his knowledge. You want to know why you need a Kendall Fuller on your team? Because he's so savvy and he's so smart. And you hear it when he speaks and he talks about other positions and he talks about other guys and he can break down things in intricate detail because he's a student of the game. And you need guys like that on your team. If for no other reason, and he's clearly provides more value than that, but if for no other reason, then he can impart that same knowledge on other guys, show other guys how to watch film, how to work. He's invaluable. He's invaluable. And then Sam, I pretty much told you what Sam was talking about. I read you the quotable from Sam. That's probably my favorite quote over the last 2 days, was Sam pretty much saying, hey, I got the offense now. I'm comfortable. Now I can do me. He talked about not being named the starting quarterback yet. He's like, that doesn't change my work habits. When that title comes, it comes. But I'm just going to keep working and keep putting myself in a position to help this team win football games in the meantime. So he's got the right mindset. He's saying all the right things. He even had a little quotable from about Terry, which I loved. And we talked about Terry yesterday in the rapport that he and Sam are building. And you continue to see a little bit of that today. He had a few more completions to Terry today. And he talked about what a joy it is to play with Terry. A guy like Terry who, no matter what, you feel like he's going to win at all times. And he said that the little battle he and Marlon Humphrey had yesterday, and he was still getting open and making catches, he loves it. And he's like, it's so great to have a guy like Terry that you can rely on. And I love that he feels that way because, again, that's what Terry's looking for, a guy that has, that level of trust that is unwavering, that, hey, my guy's going to win no matter who's covering him. I'm going to give my guy a chance because I believe in my guy. And that's what they're building with those two. So a lot of good things there. And so that's going to do it for me, your man, Louie T. Shay Robinson, thank you for being a member of the MOBB for a month. Welcome aboard. Shay Robinson writes, smack the like button. Smack the like button if you haven't already done that. Over 500 of y'all out there, still only 200 likes. We can do so much better. Try and get that thing up over 3 before we exit stage left. I appreciate all of y'all kicking it with the kid on this Wednesday night. I look forward to chopping it up with you guys yet again. Tomorrow, I'll probably leave a little something for y'all tomorrow. Maybe I'll hold it off until Friday. We'll see, because we got a long weekend here. There's no practice tomorrow. So I may just let this one linger, let everybody kind of catch up on some of the videos that I've been doing of late, because I've been doing these live streams almost every night. Or I may just drop y'all a little gift, because I have an idea in mind. I may get to it. I may not. We'll see. But in any event, that's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on the Command Post Live. You know what it is. Post up. Take command. I thank you guys for joining me. I look forward to chopping it up with you either tomorrow or Friday when practice resumes. Until then, you guys, take care. Have a good one. God bless, and good night.
So let's get to what we actually saw. I think the Commanders were the better team for 2 days in Baltimore. You don't want to draw crazy conclusions from August practices, but what we saw from the Commanders was a willingness to be super physical at the line of scrimmage. I thought their offensive line was way better than we saw in Cleveland. Now, we got to wait till Monday night to watch again. But I think defensively, the Commanders dominated at the line of scrimmage. I thought Allen and Payne were killers in Baltimore. I thought Montez Sweat was really good. How about Andre Jones, a 7th-round rookie, getting work with the ones? I mean, there's so many good stories coming out of Baltimore. Not to mention Sam Howell, who is so firmly established as QB1. Don't worry about when or where Ron officially says it. He's QB1. There's a lot of good news happening. I can't wait for Monday night's game.